Welcome to the Holly Hughes Podcast. Today, I am very excited to have my friend Jae Choi, who is the founder of Goodmate Travel, but really, he's so much more than that. And I'm very excited that you're reaching out from across the world to have a conversation with me late at night for you and early in the morning-ish for me. So how are you today, Jay?
Feeling great. How are you doing, Holly?
I'm good. I'm good. I want to talk about so many things with you because I know you because I traveled across the world to meet you. I picked you, a stranger off the internet, to go tour a country I only had dreams about. I didn't have any expectations, but I chose Goodmate Travel because you promised an authentic, like local experience of Korea. And it is something that you deliver and so much more. So I am so curious, like what made you start your company? How did all of this come to pass?
I love to talk about my work and how things started. Okay, so looking back to my early teens, like a youth. So in Korea, I think growing up, I was the person who really, really cared about other people. And I think one of the reasons is because we used to have our own social media. So the first time that I was on the social media with my friends were when I was like 12 years old. And because of that, after growing up, when I was 18, I became the person who really, really, really cared about other person, and I had no idea what I wanted to do, but just wanted to be please others. And that's when I was more like panicking and didn't know what was going on. So I ran away to the army. And then I tried to find a way to move forward and figure it out what I want to do for my life in a way. And still, I couldn't really figure it out. So that's when I've decided to write a letter to the random CEOs. So I sent about 5 or 6 letters to random CEOs. And surprisingly, most of them replied. And I met a few of them. And the conclusion was basically they tell me that I can take some time and find my own happiness and go travel. And that's when I sort of thought about go traveling the world. But I didn't have any money. I didn't know what to do. And I wasn't able to speak English at all, like nothing. And I was like 20 years old. But the people that I met in person, the CEO, I think he gave me the encouragement. And that kind of I believe in myself. And at the same time, I had nothing to lose. And I decided to travel. And I left the country with I think like $1,000. And I came back to Korea after 4 years. So that's kind of I'm just talking, you asking me how the company started, and I'm talking about my travel story. So basically I
No, that's
was
good. That's
lost.
good. You were
So
finding
okay,
yourself. I love that. But like
right.
I didn't know you
Uh-huh.
were gone for 3 to 4 years. Like I knew you did you're in Korea there's mandatory
Mhm.
military service, right? But that you explored. And I love that you wrote letters. It's very similar how I started this, right? I was like, "You know what?
Mhm.
I'm just going to ask people even before I know what's going on because sometimes when you know too much, you stop and you just went for it." I love that about you.
Thank you. So yeah, that's how I left the country and then traveled. And after 4 years of traveling and I visited many different countries, what I realized was the people I met on the road changed me and my life. And to me, at least, looking back my travels, it was not where I went, but who I met. So that was what I learned and experienced from my travels. And then I came back to Korea and I used to work for corporate. And one day I went to the market, traditional market, just to eat. And then, like it just became a food. tour because I went there with my friends and they really liked it. And I just wanted to do some side gig, something different. And my tour was mainly focusing on not only food, but also people in the market. And I saw that people really enjoyed it. So that was back in 2018 and 2019, I quit my job and became a full-time travel host and did a lot of tours, and which was a lot of fun. But at the same time, it was a challenge because I worked by myself. But then still, I was okay, doing pretty okay. And I planned to expand my company, but COVID hit. So that's when I started to make content about teaching Korean in a fun way, teaching culture. But then my plan and my hope was like through this content, connect with people and bring them to Korea and do the tour with them. So that was the idea. And after 2 years of creating content, and people actually start to come visit to Korea and contact to me. So that's why I could organize not only one day food tour, but multi-day travels. So that's how things started. And I think throughout those years, what I realized is I really, really like connecting people together. And I see that at least I'm happy when I'm connected with somebody. And I believe that people need other people, even if you're not a people person. And traveling is a more like an excuse to be surrounded by people.
Yeah, you're
So
very humble. You're this like first of all, you're magical because you all the changes you made for your life, I think in your trips you provide for others, right? So he and I were talking a little bit before the record button hit, and I was telling Jay that like in this room that I'm sitting in right now, I'm surrounded by everything. Like it's within I could touch, right? I have like this I got in the Korean food market tour. I got that there. Like for me, every moment of see, I'll get sentimental. Every moment of that trip, like it changed me.
Mhm.
Oh my God, I'm getting weepy. So, but it was because solo travel, and I think I picked you and Chris, those random men on the internet, because you looked fun and you looked like you cared, or for some strange reason, I thought I was going to be safe with you, knowing that I am still to this day, I'm terrible at Korean. I always try and it just doesn't stay in my brain. So you connected me to a place I wanted to go and brought me places and brought me experiences with women in my group. There was all women. There's not always, but we were all solo travelers. And now we're all getting the same tattoo. And now we talk to each other from all over the world, and we're all over the world. None of us are in the same time zone right now. And we have these shared memories and desires and curiosities. So when you say your food tour, I think the last time I looked, I think you had over 2,000 5-star reviews on, some TripAdvisor thing. Like you downplay it, but you walk in the market, and for people who are obsessed, it's the Netflix noodle lady. But really, my favorite is the woman who you get the small soft shell crabs from. And you're in the market. And as we walk through, it's your personal relationships with each vendor that we come to that it's embracing. So as a stranger someplace, I feel also embraced because we're welcomed into a culture that I want to learn about, and that we get to literally get bite-sized pieces and like lured in more. I think you lure people in, when you end the tour with the chimak, right? Chimak and octopus, right? So it's it's everything. And that's like the first day. I think that's the first day of the other tour, right? So if you just do a food tour, you get all of these delicious sensations. And if you do a longer one, you get to experience like diving in head first on day one. No dream almost gets unfulfilled. So I think you should own that more. I think you're always very humble, which is probably part of your charm, right? But you've created these experiences based on your own. I know, like in your older social media, you talk about when you were younger, how you felt self conscious as a kid about what is your expectations. So was that like coming up as an only, like the only child, the son? Is it a Busan thing? Is it a Korean expectation thing? What do you think like planted that seed in you?
I think that's because I'm Korean from the city called Ulsan, which is also one of the conservative area, and a lot of our classmates, our parents, like, and my friends' family, like 80% they used to work for big corporate, like called Hyundai. So in a way, like it was pretty similar, like how, like the similar lifestyle, and there was certain pressure, which is like at a certain age you got to do certain things, and so on and so on. And I didn't really fit into the box, and I thought I was wrong. But still I didn't fit it. So it was so hard. And I think because of that, here I am. Like what I'm saying is like even there are certain moments that because of my childhood and the environment that where I was, definitely is something that helped me to grow as a person who I am right now. But also, I think I travel at a young age, and the whole world was new to me. So I call myself, because I'm really Korean. I'm Korean that really care about one another still. What I'm saying is like care about others a lot, and try to read a room and people. And at the same time, I traveled and then I saw more like new things and new opportunities. Now, when you guys do the group tour, which is a group activity, it's not always easy, right? It's because it takes a lot of respect and care to each other, and rules and so on and so on, which is it's almost training, right? Because you gotta be a certain time, you gotta go somewhere. But surprisingly, after 1 week of doing a lot of difficulties, and we share this some strange energy together, and stay positive as a friend, because I grew up where I was in Ulsan with this kind of environment where I have to more like a care one another. It was hard to be different, but at the same time I traveled the world and experienced something different, and those two like environment sort of made me like who I am right now.
Yeah, you're care. You
Yeah.
do. You give a lot of care on your
Mm-mm,
tours. There's,
mm-mm,
balancing 15 plus
mm-mm,
personalities. Whew. I
mm-mm,
mean, that's a lot of work. And you're very funny, by the way. Like everyone should know, he's like funny and joking, and you can get to be serious, but you take time to try to meet the needs of people, right? In where we are, because not every day is a good day for everybody. I don't envy you to do that. Like I wouldn't have the energy to like do that, but it's part of the magic that you provide for people. Like you bring us to all of these places and then care. Like you just care. So I think probably many people fall in love with you along the way, just because you're so like kind, and that's part of the magic sauce of it all. But you're not just a tour guide, right? You have a whole team of people around you, and you're always on the phone working, right? You look at his face. You're
No,
always
I'm yeah.
busy.
That's
So
a
what
shame. That's shame that I've shown you that I'm busy. I'm on the phone, which is
Oh,
like.
but I'm an observer. I only
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
really noticed more because I got sick last time, so I wasn't able to be as up as I wanted to be or
Mm-mm-mm.
energetic. I was like kind of watching. I love watching, by the
Mhm,
way. But
mhm,
I think when we were there, I think you were getting calls from Netflix, right, to do that Squid Game event that you did. That
mhm.
right. So, like, how does Netflix find you?
When I was doing a market tour and I hosted a couple, and again, like I was genuinely enjoying the tour and giving them the suggestion and so on and so on. But apparently, one of them was the PR manager for Netflix, and she really, really enjoyed the time with me. once they planned their trip to Korea, she asked me if we could host the Gwangja Market tour. But then back then she didn't know that we actually do more than just Gwangja Market food tour. So it just extended like from market tour to another cultural experiences and so on and so on. That was last year, like December, and then this year for the Squid Game season 3, and we hosted it, the Netflix team and the creators once again.
So I remember I could see you spinning, like thinking a lot about like what to do. But then when I saw it all, I was like, that's what he was up to. And again, you make it like it's not a big thing, but you have a very creative side, right? And you've explored that. I've read scripts of yours, right? And you tried to also make a show similar to The Office, but your version. So I'm curious about that creative part of you, right? And how do you weave that into running a company where you're expanding people? I want to like also know about how you manage people because finding someone who inspires people to work for you, like that's another whole thing. By the way, your Squid Game 3 promos had some of the biggest influencers in that little clip. You're like, "Oh, yeah, I did a thing." It's like, "Oh, I had you over for tea, have a coffee." No, you had, like, David Sa was in there and like, a few other bigger I don't are they as big in Korea as they are in the States, those influencers, or
I think not everybody, but some people know them for sure.
Okay, so ho did Netflix gather them all for you, or is that something you had to do?
Oh yes, I mean it was their promotion trip, so they invited like a bunch of creators from all over the world. But then we worked with Netflix, the US team,
Mm.
and they came with about 40 creators, and they have on their official schedule, and also there were some different activities and schedules, and we hosted some part of it.
Okay, so you've worked with Netflix and you've gone on to do things like try to create your own show? Can you tell me what inspired you to try to do that?
Okay, so it's not something big again. It's more like I think I like to imagine and do it. That's kind of what I like, and I love comedy, and I want to be remembered as a funny person. I like funny person, let's say, so that I want to be funny too. And often I watch comedy shows, and one of the favorite drama like sitcom is The Office. So one day I was with my friend and we were making some fun content, but that's when we thought about doing some fun project, and that was sort of Korean style of The Office, because we were sitting in the office by the time, and we just got inspired and we did it, and which was a big fail, but it was good try, I would say.
A big failure. So funny. Well, my podcast is about talking to creative people about living a
Mhm.
creative life. So not
Mhm.
everything we all do is the biggest success or whatever, but it was a passion of yours. You have to have a lot of passion to do
Mhm.
all the work, especially because you were basically producing and acting. I don't know if you had another director. Did you have someone else
Yeah,
direct?
yeah. We had one director, and he also he
So,
like did a film too.
mm, how many episodes did you actually shoot?
With the 10 episodes, so 10 minutes, 10 episodes.
Oh,
So it's at 100 minutes, but none of them are on live. You cannot see. You cannot see.
they're not on YouTube hiding just a little bit?
No, 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 no,
Just
no,
a little?
no. And it's somewhere in a high up driver.
I know I saw some though. Did you take it down? It was up for a little bit.
Really? Like I think we've uploaded
Yeah.
like some clips on social media on
Uh. Mhm,
Instagram,
mhm.
but then whole episode it's a stories, right? And it's like a 10
Yeah.
minutes of like a show. But I've realized after doing all this work, I was like, okay, I'm not the right person. It's not the easy job. I mean, So still, I think I will do it again, maybe in the future. I've learned a lot, But
Mm.
yeah, it was a good learning.
What do you think you learned the most? Was it like the logistics, like putting it all together is can be much
It
harder than
was,
people think, or was it being a
mm,
character in your own show?
I think it was about the story and basically, I would say looking back, it was one of the first teamwork that I've done, and somehow the sense of humor in the team didn't meet to each other. We had a writer, and then he wrote because his things are funny, and I found it funny, but director found that it's not funny. So somehow, so I think rather than the technical things, the whole storyline, it's more like because it was like Korean style, which is the sense of humor. Korean sense of humor is different to the Western sense of humor, let's say, right? And but then the show was in English, and we tried to like they the Western people watch.
I
Mm.
think you should do it in Korean. You should
I
do
think so
it. You
too.
should
I
do
think so
it
too.
for the
Mm.
Korean sense of humor. So tell me what is on your list now? What is your to-do list like this week?
Frankly speaking, right now my whole life is about what I call work, but like Goodmate Travel, the brand, and I truly, truly believe that. I mean, first of all, I feel so lucky that I do something that I really, really enjoy. So I'm so lucky that I can do this as a work. And now I'm no longer working by myself. We have a team, and I somehow became a leader all of a sudden. And again, I'm lucky that I'm surrounded by great people, and we are building something really meaningful and powerful to the world, I believe. As a leader, I think I have to work hard, first of all, for sure, but also be a good leader. And so I would say I really enjoy the work. I think about work this all the time.
I was curious because so I know you have other teams who help lead tours, right? You know,
Uh-huh.
you have a group of people. So
Mhm.
how many tours that are the original Goodmate tour and the Jeju
Mhm.
tour, how many times a year are those available now?
So good question. Yeah. Right now we are focusing more like into more like a Goodmate original tours. And now we have only two tours, which is one is a deep dive and another is Jeju. And then we are working on something new right now. Like we want to offer more like different options, like it can be some like budget friendly tour it can be, or like food focused tour, and like some different kinds of tours. So
I would like
that's
to say you
basically.
give a lot of food. When you
Mhm,
sit and eat
mhm,
with good meat, I was like, I remember one time you're like, Holly, you're done eating. You're like, that's the appetizer. It's like, oh my God, I'm so
mhm,
full. I'm so
mhm,
full. So if anyone is curious about Korean food, you really get to taste and even learn to cook some. And I took
mhm,
that home with me and I make my kimchi and green onion pancakes at home and I have the right flour from the recipe we got and I do the whole thing because I love it so much, but there's no shortage of food. No shortage and it's delicious. It's insanely delicious. So I just wanted to tell people now I'm getting hungry. You have 8-day tours, like as someone who traveled across the globe, right? So I think my total travel, including getting to the airport and transfers, was 25, 26 hours
mhm,
for me. And there's a 13-hour time difference. I would offer to people come a few days earlier to
mhm,
just
mhm,
kind of get in the time zone because once
mhm,
the tours start, they're busy. He says there's free time, but really you
mhm,
like devour everything and there's like no free time. There's more time to hang out
mhm,
and connect, but you're not going to nap. I think the first day on the first tour I did, we were in Insadong and I was like, oh, I just need like a half hour because I wasn't quite on the time zone yet. But by the time I took the bus and got back to Myeongdong, I had like
mhm.
5 minutes. And then I had to get back on the bus to come meet up. I
Oh
was
my
like, well,
god.
that wasn't the smartest. I was like, right. Because I didn't know anything
Right,
now.
right.
Now when I go, I was like, oh, I get on that bus line, I'm going to pass that. It's funny. I
Mm,
have no sense of direction, like where I
mm,
live, but
mm,
you put me like in a few neighborhoods in Seoul. And I was
mm,
like, oh, I know that place. I know that place. Even when I went
mm.
back this spring, I was like, oh, I know where I am. And my
Wow.
family was like, there's no way you know where you are. I was like, I know. Even Sarah, who's my friend that I made on the trip, when we first met on the day before the first trip, she had been there, and Sarah is a powerhouse, and she's like 4 inches shorter than me. And she basically dragged me literally because I was out of my tree. I was like not in the
Mm,
time zone at all
mhm,
mentally. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't even know my name right now. She just dragged
mhm,
me everywhere. And we forced ourselves to kind of stay awake
mm,
to get on the time zone. But she has a sense of direction. So I just
mm,
blindly followed yet another stranger that I had just texted
mm,
with on WhatsApp.
mm.
And we went up to Namsam and we did all this stuff. And now she's like one of my dearest people in my life, but no sense of direction. But now this time I was like, hey, that's that. And hey, that's where that is. And I know I turned left here. So I don't know what it is and why I feel so at home there because I shouldn't, right? I'm terrible at the
Um,
language and I'm
okay.
not there all the time. But it's part of why I want to spend a month and
Mm,
not just like visiting or doing things
mhm,
like, but like
mhm,
to live, right? Like to
mhm,
work there, like a little bit of travel. I would totally go back to a pension and like just a slower pace to see what that experience would be like. Because I know I will always be a guest, I will always be a tourist there, but there's also different, I think, degrees of like what that entails, right? would
mhm,
would you guys ever do that because you make all these people fall in love with the country? Would you ever be like,
mhm,
hey, we have a month long thing and we meet once a week and we'll see you once a
mhm.
week? That would be fun. I'm gonna make you do more for me is what I'm saying. Just like that would be so
Okay.
fun. You put that in your noodles so you can think about that.
Uh,
I think you're expanding countries too. Aren't you going to expand?
Yes, that's another exciting part of the journey. We are expanding to Japan, and hopefully we can open a tour sometime in spring, or if not, then sometime autumn.
So tell me about a little bit about your team, like who the
Mhm.
people who work for you now.
Well, we are a group of 15 people, including the office members and also like inside tour host. Fun fact about our team is that majority people are my friends, so the people that I know, people are friends of friends, and we just become a team. So always there's somebody that I know in between. So yeah, and everybody has different background, and a lot of them also used to work for big corporate and different field, but then I think they saw the vision, the possibility of what we are building, and they sort of really align with our company vision, which is connecting people through experiences. So it's fairly new team, and we do little things together as a team, and yeah, so it's been really fun.
So if you could tell something to your younger self as you are now, like to that person who is feeling lost, what would you tell them? Would it be like the same information you got from those CEOs?
Yes, so I would say I think what I realized when I met the CEO was I've never done something on my own before. I've always did something because what my family tell me to do, what the society tell me to do, and so on and so on. But once I start to make my own choice, my own decision, and make mistakes and do little things, I think that's kind of when I realize about myself, about the world, about society. So even if, and I feel like I'm lucky that I went on a travel when I was young and did a lot of little dumb things and realize about myself, about the place where I am, about the world. So I think two little things is what I would say, what I would advise to my younger self, if possible.
What advice do you think you would give yourself in 10 years to who you are now?
I would say take care of people next to you, which
Mm,
is family. And I think the biggest challenge right now is the balance between the work and the family. And I do everything I do because of my family and also, like me. But often when I'm working, I forget about this. So I think it's not easy still, but I want to be aware of this fact all the time.
mm. I think am I your Unni or Nuna? Am I your Unni? Like older sister, right? I think for someone, I am how you manic sometimes where I focus very intense on work and then family. So I don't believe in balance. I think that's a lie.
Yeah.
We've all been
Mm,
told, but I
mm,
think there's rhythm,
mm,
right? Where some days you might have to focus more on work or solving problems, and other days, I mean, what I know about you and what I think people listening are learning is like you come from your heart in everything you do, right? It starts with care, that you care. It's easy to disappoint that part who's always caring, right?
mm,
Because, oh, I didn't do enough, or that can be a thought, or I could do more, depending on how you think, or
mhm,
next time I should, or how do I do both? And how do I not upset someone? And I think it really comes down to the words you choose, more like, I'm thinking about you, but until I finish this thing right here, I won't be giving you my full attention, and I want to get better at that. So I'm going to work on that. But I think working with anyone who works a lot or living with someone, any artist or creative person who gets on a roll, meaning like where you're in it and you want to finish it
mhm,
and you see sometimes we don't see the people around us as much, or they could be
mhm,
annoying that they're around us, right? Because we just want to
mhm,
finish. And I find that learning the right words to communicate that you need that also takes pressure off and you can finish the work sooner. I mean, I have always been freelance. I tried working in corporate twice and it was awful both times. But there are times now, even when my man Candy, which everyone knows is what I call my husband, is like, it's Sunday, stop. And I'm like, but no,
mhm,
I have to know more about the person I want to talk to. I want to read all of their work. I want to understand more. Or if I'm writing, it's like I have to finish getting the
mhm,
idea out before it goes away. So that I think is the hardest part about living with creative people, is that we have this drive and it's different, and we usually have big hearts, so it can be like in conflict. But
mhm,
that, and unplug your phone an hour before you go to bed, away from you.
mhm,
Oh,
mhm,
which no one does. That's like big. Like when I
mhm,
work with clients, I'm like, so where's your phone? They're like, it's my alarm
mhm,
clock. I'm like, I dare you to
mhm,
plug it in the kitchen an hour before you go to bed and don't look at it. And
mhm,
that also helps you connect and unwind. So I'll just offer that up to my favorite travel person. So
mhm,
I think you have so much like in you, and you're curious about all the people you encounter. And I find it very fascinating that you have a very international group every time in your tours, right? They're not like locals at all, but they're not just Americans. It's a
mhm.
lot of Europeans, so is there, are there, what is in common with all the people who come on your tour?
I think it depends on the tours because we have a lot of team-based tour. So if it's about K-drama, then people who
Oh yeah, you
love
do
watching
Kenji,
drama.
Kenji. Right.
Right. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really depends on the topic, like the theme. So people who really enjoy the topic, then they come from all over the world.
I forgot about that one. He was in our hotel and I didn't even see him. I was very upset. because Vera got a picture with him. But yeah, but like even your original tour, is there something that you find that we all have in common?
I think people who join the tour, they are open to try something new.
Mm,
I think being in a group tour takes a lot of courage because it's not something easy. And I have a lot of friends who never done the group tours. And I think there's a way more people who never done a group tour than the people who actually did a group tour. And that's because travel is something that you do whatever you want to. And it seems like you just go somewhere you want to and be free. That's kind of a traveling that
mm,
we know, kind of, right? And the group tours is in a way like you go with a group of strangers that you don't know, which is already a little bit, something it's not always easy. But then you decide to be in a group and do things together and try to get to know one another and doing things together. So I think a lot of people who join a tour, of course, everybody is different, but then one thing that for sure is that they come with open-minded and try open-minded.
Whoa, you can't say that
and
phrase. What are you
yeah,
saying? What are you saying?
and willing
Not
to.
Hongdae boy, open-minded, different, very different.
All right.
I'd also like to offer like my experience of it, why it was such a good choice for me was being unsure of the language. You treat us like adults, right? You're like, we meet here at this time. The tour starts on this date. So you can come before the tour. Again, I would recommend that. So you can get on the time zone or just sleep for 30 hours, which is what I think I did the first time. And then what's amazing about it is you're like, be here at this time, but you take care of the hotels and they're very nice and transportation. Like there's no figuring things out. You can just be childlike in your wonder and enjoyment because I'm not responsible. Like I was like, I don't have to figure out where to eat for dinner or where to get a coffee or who I should go see that with or will I be there alone? The answer is you're never alone unless you need some time away and then you can just take it. And there is always something interesting there's always an experience waiting and you don't have to work for it. So I know you and Chris both discussed like, the cost of the trip. I think it's very reasonable for everything that you get. So I appreciate also that that you as a company consider that is an expense for people to do this and then you treat it respectfully that way as well. So that was a little bit, magical. So
Thank you. Thank
I'll
you. No,
see it.
like you said, a lot of people make a lot of decisions in a daily life basis, but then making decision it takes energies, right? So being in a group tour, another fun thing is that because we take care of everything, so you don't have to worry about making decision, but just be a child and just come along and have
Yes.
fun. Mhm.
I giggled. I giggled, especially on the first one when I first met everyone. For me, it was, oh my God, these people, I finally met people who are curious about the things I'm curious about. I met people like, so I don't have a lot of that around me. I'm just kind of weird, which is fine. I'm used to it. But like, for me, it was like, oh, and you can actually, oh my God, and what have you been there? And I went, it was like when my mother even saw me dressed up in my hanbok and she's like, I haven't seen a smile like that on your face since you were a little
Oh
girl.
my
Yeah.
God.
And that is always, she's like, your smile when you're there is ridiculous. And I always get a little sad when I come home because then it's back to work and life and like all the things and responsibility. But there it's just magic. And really, I laugh. I like stamp my foot, slap the table, laugh. Like even I think we were playing foosball in Jeju and we were awful at it. Like you probably were playing bad on purpose, but like I couldn't stop laughing that night. And it's the little things in life that become so big and wonderful again when you get a chance to escape your everyday normal routine. So if anyone out is listening I think I highly recommend travel because, first of all, you find out the world isn't as awful as the internet tells you, that there are plenty of really good people, and there's so much that we don't know about each other. And it's fun to learn, it's fun to experience a culture and a place that is not like your own. You will make more friends than you can imagine. I think that was also the magic of going there for me, and why I always tell my warning label, right? Which is I will talk about Korea. Obviously, you can pick up on that. But I want to say thank you to Jay for coming because it's very late at night for him. But I want to ask, I like to wrap up every interview with what is your warning label? So, Mr. Jae Choi, what is your warning label?
Once you asked me this question, I thought about it and then I wrote easily excited, frequently exhausted. And and
That
that's
is
me.
good.
Uh,
That is you. And very kind. And very kind. Frequently excited. I love that. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to like what you create with Goodmate Travel and the Korean version of your show. Thank you, Jay, for being on my podcast, the Holly Hughes Podcast. And I will be seeing you again in person soon.
I will see you sometime soon. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to be talking to you.